Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today, I am here with my good friend, Mr. Ari Kopmar with Unifund, and we're going to talk about something today that's a little bit unique. We're going to talk about different ways that consumers are now able to pay off their debts without actually pulling out their credit card and making a cash payment. So Ari, I know this is going to be kind of a little bit of a different approach to the debt collection industry, and I've been really excited to learn a lot about this over the past couple of months of working with you. So let me start with: can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got to the seat that you're in today?
So I'm relatively new to the industry itself. I come from a very consumer-centric marketing background.
Mhm.
I've worked with some of the top companies, renowned brands that are out there that deal directly with consumers or customers.
Mhm.
I've learned to say consumers now versus saying customers because most people don't want to be our customers. So that
Sure.
being said, I've known David Rosenberg for a very long time, who was the founder, is the founder of Unifund, has been in the industry for 35 plus years. And he and I developed this relationship, and we started talking about some of his things that he envisioned for the future of the debt collection space.
Mhm.
And one of those is how we can support consumers who don't have the ability to pay, but at the same time, give them an opportunity to address and pay down their debt. So his vision is to find these alternative payment programs where you can pay down your debt without necessarily paying any money to do so. And revolutionary, because right now a lot of the types of programs are out there are, can you pay? Can you make a payment plan? Can you pay? Can you make a payment plan? No. Can you pay? So it's hard if people don't have the means to do so. We are now bringing in a third option. I think that's what the strength of this program is when someone says they can't pay or they're not able to pay, that is not the end of the conversation.
Mhm.
It's actually just another beginning of a conversation and how they can address their debt. So that's the new approach that we're taking here, where it is very consumer centric, and it's a way to assist them in putting them on a path to financial freedom without necessarily putting them in a position where they don't have the means to do so.
Sure. And I think coming from that consumer background, obviously you've got kind of that special eye, we'll call it, towards how the consumer is feeling, being treated, and understanding kind of what their journey looks like, which is just incredibly important. So, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about, and I know that there's not very many of our viewers and listeners that are not familiar with Unifund, but can you tell us just a little bit about Unifund and what you guys do over there?
So Unifund is a debt buyer. They've been doing it for years. That's where we really have made our footprint. But we also service third-party debt as well. We have numerous servicing opportunities and how to service recovery.
Mhm.
And we do quite a bit in the legal, in suing or the suite or some legal
Sure.
suit, in how we can do that effectively
Mhm.
and using firms to generate recovery through other means. But Unifund is predominantly in the debt buying space, and now we're also very engaged in servicing other third-party debt, because we use the same tools we do, we can use to recover. So if we're successful for ourselves, we definitely be successful for others as well. So that's what Unifund is renowned for, is 35 plus years of being in this industry.
And it's probably a great point of view for you guys to have as you're working on these alternative payment programs, right? So when you're creating these ways in which to enable the consumer to pay down these debts and other things, it sounds like you guys are coming from a significant amount of experience that allows you to kind of try some of these things out on debt that you own. So you're able to kind of do your own internal proof of concept before bringing things out into the marketplace, which is going to kind of bring me into my first string of questions, because the more that I've learned about PACE and this kind of PACE program, basically leveraging rewards programs to actually do debt pay down. Now, it sounds like kind of a simple construct, but I know, as I've learned about this program, it does have a lot of kind of complexities to it because you've got three masters to kind of handle on any transaction, right? You're dealing with the brands, you're dealing with the consumers, and you're dealing with the owner of the outstanding account, and you're going to have to kind of bring all three parties together in developing a program in order to make that work. Can you tell us a little bit about what PACE is and kind of how you guys got to the point that you're at today?
Yeah, and PACE is one of our first alternative payment programs that we are launching in the debt space.
Mhm.
PACE is a cashback reward program. It's been around for a couple of years, but it's predominantly set up to give cash back to consumers who aren't in a financial stressful position. It's just a
Mhm.
way of getting cash back rewards. Um, we are now looking at it as a platform to take those cash back rewards instead of putting it in your pocket. It goes and addresses and paying down your debt.
Mhm.
So it's with known national retailers, where, for example, like CVS, Kohl's, Home Depot, where you go to those entities, you can get 5% cash back. So let's say you spend $100 and you get 5% cash back promoted by these retailers. That 5% goes directly to paying down the consumer's debt. So
Okay.
we call it almost like a triple dip effect also, where you link a card. So say you have a miles card or a points generated card,
Mhm.
and say there's Kohl's Dollars, which is a merchant funded program, and then there's PACE. So you don't choose between any of those three. You get all three. You're getting more value for your purchase at that particular retailer. So we call it with PACE, it's, pay down your debt with everyday shopping, and you
Mhm.
still get the rewards that you get from your credit card. You still get the merchant funded rewards. And now one more layer of value by shopping at that particular retailer is you can now pay down your debt. So the consumer doesn't have to take any action except for linking a card, activating an offer, and then go living their everyday life and shopping. And through their everyday shopping, they can address their debt. So when I mentioned earlier, when I said, hey, I can't pay, I'm not have the ability to pay. Well, now you can. Do you go to CVS to get a prescription? Do you go to Walgreens? Answer is yes, you can do this. Do you go to Home Depot to maybe for part of your job to buy supplies or other things
Mhm.
through that retailer? Yes, well, you can pay down your debt. So these things are all built into their everyday life.
Mhm.
And if they go to Lowe's, they go to Home Depot, they go to Kohl's, they go to other, national retailers that we have, then they can pay down their debt without having any intrusion in their life. And now it's an engagement point for the credit issuer or the debt collector, because they're not able now to engage the consumer in a very proactive and a very friendly manner, whereas they are addressing their debt, and it starts a time for engagement and communication. But PACE is set up to be a cashback reward program for people who aren't financially stressed. And now we're bringing it in to people to pay down their debt. It gives that optionality for the consumer to live their everyday life and address their debt without really impeding their life, what they do every day.
You're just giving them yet another option. So if I'm a consumer and this debt collection operation, whether it be the debt buyer, the agency, whatever is engaged in the PACE program, when I get this phone call and they're talking to me about make a payment, I'm going, look, I don't have any money till payday, right? Like kind of the standard responses that you get to those kinds of calls. You now have yet another alternative to say, well, I realize you can't make a payment today. However, if you were to engage in this program, it costs you nothing. And as you go order your Buffalo Wild Wings later or whatever, you're now going to be able to actually get a pay down. Now, are you guys doing any kind of like upfront offering? Like, is there some sort of a hook, in terms of whether it be a discount on the debt or whatever, in order to get the consumers engaged in a program like this? Like, is there a catalyst to help push this along?
Well, Unifund is going to be testing different catalysts to determine how to
Mhm.
get someone to sign up for this. I think you hit on something. It's free to sign up. There's no cost to the consumer. To activate their offers, which the merchants are requiring once a month to do, it takes 7 to 10 seconds. That's
Mhm.
the whole involvement that they have to do to set up this account. Once they do that and they link a card, then they just continue to live their everyday life. But consumers might need to be incentivized to do this
Mhm.
just because they go, what's the catch? Where's the gimmick?
Yeah.
It's free to sign up. I just go do my everyday shopping and I address my debt. Where's the angle? Are you
Mhm.
taking my credit card and you're going to start charging it? The answer is no. Pace never, ever charges a credit card. And it's
Mhm.
actually interesting, which is the whole thing is on its head, which is I take your credit card from you, but I don't charge it. Most of the time, when you give someone your credit card information, they're charging it. We're
Mhm.
not. This becomes your identifier and for us to give you cash back or to pay down your debt. Normally, when a debt collector or someone's calling a consumer, they're requiring to have a payment, to remit a payment. No, we don't need a payment from you. Go live your everyday life. So there's too many things that are like the consumer's confused, which is, wait a second, if you incentivize me to do this and I'm reducing my debt without paying any money, I'm going ahead and giving you my credit card information, but you're not charging my
Actually
credit card.
charging it. Yeah.
And I'm going to do everyday shopping and I'm reducing my debt.
Mhm.
It's a conversation that consumers are saying, in our cynical world today, which is, okay, where's the angle? And there
Mhm.
is none. The angle is simple. It's helping you to pay down your debt to get you onto a road to financial freedom. That's the intent of it. And from a credit issuer's perspective, it's an ability for you to get a consumer engaged so you can now start addressing them and working with them as they go through this process. So the cashback rewards can be a tool to actually pay down the debt 100% or an accelerator to pay down their debt.
Mhm.
But most importantly, it's a very passive way of engaging consumer to address their debt. And like I said earlier, when they say they can't pay or they won't pay, they don't have the ability to pay, this is not requiring them to do much more but live their everyday life. You go to Papa John's, you go to Buffalo Wings, do you go to Bed Bath and Beyond? Things that we all do. And now there's a way now to add these purchases and put them on steroids. Now you get a more value for that.
Which I love. I mean, I think it sounds like the very definition of an alternative payment program, right? Like you're providing the consumer with an alternative that doesn't require them to come cash out of pocket. Now, granted, they're going to have to spend on that credit card. So, two things I want to address from kind of your last statements. One is that you're taking this credit card, but it sounds like that credit card number or the credit card that's being put on file is ultimately just being used to track those purchases. So, unlike some of these other reward programs that we've seen out there, they don't have to take a picture of every receipt or
Yeah.
upload every transaction. It's just kind of happening by having that credit card on file when it's being seen by one of these retailers. It's just kind of flowing through and being tracked through the PACE alternative payment program.
Yeah, it's not only a credit card, it's also a debit card. So it's
Okay.
credit or debit card or prepaid card, but it's also American Express, MasterCard, and Visa.
So
Those are
anything
the
with one of the major brands is going to be able to flow through there, not necessarily the individual retail cards, unless
yeah.
they're branded with MasterCard, Visa, or American
Yeah,
Express.
and it's important that the consumers do not need to apply for a card. This is not a credit card or debit card promotion. This is they're taking their preferred, their favorite cards, right? It could be multiple, right? And that's important too because the more cards you have on the program, then wherever is top of wallet or second in the wallet or third in the wallet, you'll be able to get cash back. So it's really just your identifier. That's what this is. It's enabling us to track where that reward is coming from the merchant and where it goes to where you want that money to be sent to. In our case with Unifund, we are giving the option for the consumer
Mhm.
to pay down their debt, but they also have the option to put them in their back pocket or take a bill pay or give it to a charity. But we're first putting them into a position to pay down their debt. We're giving them that first option to address their debt, and that's what we want them to do. So
Sure.
um, if we give them incentive offers, then we are saying, okay, this incentive offer is about debt. Therefore, that your rewards have to go to pay down debt. So, but
Okay.
the incentive offer is to get them to do that. They have to, volunteer their information. It's not something
So
we
it,
can
it
force.
sounds like it's similar to like if I was using a cashback card and I was applying my cash back to, paying down my debt, but it's an automated process because that cash back is going to get lost or, used to pay off a card balance or whatever. So it tends to get lost in the shuffle. And this is giving them a much more finite methodology
Yeah.
for actually resolving these accounts. Now, I know PACE is just one of the, many programs that you guys are working on in terms of kind of this alternative payment program, type methodology. What other programs do you guys have that are either rolled out or coming out in the immediate future?
Yeah, well, we're looking at other industries as well. Again, what we're doing here is it's a win-win-win. It's three wins. It's a win to the brand, a win to the debt holder, and a win to the consumer.
Mhm.
So from a brand's perspective, it's a lower cost of acquisition for them. We are giving to a sizable targeted marketplace, and there's more marketplace awareness now for this particular brand that may not have been marketed to these consumers before.
Mhm.
From the debt holder's perspective, higher collection rate, it's a positive consumer interface, and it's a favorable brand association, right? And then from a consumer's perspective, well, they're able to reduce, eliminate their debt, right? Improving their financial fitness. And they're getting a product or service that they want to engage with, right? They might have
Mhm.
engaged with them, because they like that service, and now they're incentivized even to do so more. So another example is another entity that we're affiliated with is called Vamos Pay, which is a prepaid card or digital banking app.
Okay.
And they're looking for consumers to join this prepaid debit card or the digital banking app in a way where they can help the consumers who might not have a credit card. And
Mhm.
now they can get into the digital commerce. Right? You can now go and transact in our world today
Mhm.
where cash is not sometimes taken, or the digital age where they can go and online and make purchases or pay their bills, etc. So Vamos Pay is working with us to say, okay, how do we get your consumers who need this support, who may not have the credit scores to get credit cards, but with us, there's no credit check, right? It's
Yeah.
so this card enables these people to have on a path to financial freedom to actually transact in the world today. So with there as well, with the referral fees that we get from the third party, that's how we use that to draw down the debt. So we're trying to find
Okay.
programs that work with the consumer as well, where it helps them. It helps the brand because they get new members, and it helps with the debt holder because the referral fee that comes across is what's driving down the debt as well. So the consumer is taking an action. It's not
Mhm.
costing them anything. It's enabling them to get a better pathway for themselves to get to a path of financial freedom. And you have a brand who's saying, great, this is the kind of consumer I want to engage with.
Mhm.
And obviously the debt holder is saying, great, we now have a payment being made by a third party, and it's addressing the debt. This might be going credit score building, right?
Mhm.
Or ways to help people with their credit scores, where there might be other programs that help the consumer build something for themselves. And obviously the third party is saying, oh, great, this, you got me the consumer that works for me. And obviously the debt holder saying, great, thanks for the referral fee. And now it's one big triangle where it's a win-win-win.
So I love that. So basically, what I'm hearing is that you guys are basically providing digital banking services to the underbanked community in order to help them be able to transact in a digital world, but also to pay down their debt through again the shopping that they're doing on that card, and the fact that they're engaging on this card platform. Very very creative approach to kind of a unique problem, right? Because you know trying to get money from consumers that don't have money is impossible in most instances, right? And so what you're trying to do is find a way for them to engage with their debt, acknowledge that this needs to be handled, and then providing them with some alternatives for actually achieving the end objective. And it's the same end objective for all, right? Like when you talk about the triangle, right? The consumers are getting this payoff done, they're not having to spend as much money. The debt owner is getting the debt paid down or creating payments on an account that otherwise never would have received payments.
Yep.
And then the brands that are being shopped at are getting new shoppers. So it's a marketing and acquisition cost from their perspective that they are going to be paying any which way it flies. So why not have that roll into a program that adds additional benefits? So
Right. And I think what's also important is, in the industry right now, the channels of communication are opening up, right?
mhm,
Where you can use direct response, you can do digital communication, texting, email. End of the day, you can get to the consumer. It's what you're saying to them once they open it.
sure.
And I think that's what excites me is that there are so many more channels now that you can gauge the consumer in. There's our channels of communication that they are now opening and accessing. So now what are you saying to them once they open it up? And again, this offers that third optionality to the consumer who can't make a full payment, can't get into payment plan, but they can do this. So now if you engage them the way that our industry is engaging consumers, it's exciting that there's now another option for that consumer. And I think that's, to me, is what's really changing the paradigm here, which is a way to engage a consumer with something that they can relate to. And if they did want to make a payment, this is another alternative to accelerate that, right? Or even they can't PIF or pay in full at this moment. This is a way for you to string that engagement going forward, right? So you can still, like with Pace, for example, we do enhance offers all the time where it's like, hey, go to CVS and you get 5X on your cash back. Well, that 5X is coming from the merchant. So that accelerates the consumer. If they go there, they get more to pay down their debt. So there's constant communication with the consumer with Pace or the Pace program with cashback rewards, because it's not just they sign up, you're done with them. No, Pace has a whole infrastructure in the back end to keep on engaging the consumer, to keep them going and paying down their debt, accelerating those payments of their debt because of the incentives that the third parties or the merchants are doing to encourage people to shop at their entity. And same thing with all the other APP programs we're going to be developed. You know, each one of these brands have their own marketing initiative, and they're willing to sometimes to pay for that consumer. So that payment will go in helping paying down their debt. So it's not like once you get them, they're done. No, there's an ongoing communication cycle. And with Pace also, which is really exciting, it's white labeled, right? So if, in other words, if it's Unifund, it's Unifund. But if you're party XYZ, will everything be branded XYZ if you want that? So it can be front facing for you, and the consumer has no idea that it's a program that's being, engineered in the back end by the whole nother infrastructure. So it can be white labeled. And so again, it's your communication, it's your engagement. And the consumer looks like they're going ahead and paying down your debt. But at the same time, it's all being handled on the back end by Pace. So it's very flexible from a user and a very flexible from infrastructure on a someone who's using it to pay down their consumers pay down their debt.
So even after the consumer has paid down the debt that they signed up on this program for, like the program is still there for them. So like they can just reapply how their cashback rewards are ultimately being used. So it goes from paying a debt to whatever, donating to a charity or just getting,
cash back,
right? Like actual cash.
What we do when we sign them up is we auto-populate their account number into the fields of where you want the money to be sent to. So for them, that's why we incentivize them to show that, okay, to get this incentive, we're auto-populating the field to say, this is, you're paying down your debt. So they're getting something for it. But the incentive could be that they can pay down their debt without paying any money to do so. The incentive is built into the program itself, right? But we're trying to make it a little more of a less of a friction point and saying, hey, we have your account information. It's there, it's populated. So all you have to do is just confirm the account, link your card, you're done, right? And then every month you activate the offers, which we email them to do that. Pace emails the consumers to take these actions. There's reminders. There's also emails, like I said before, about enhancing offers that can encourage them to go and spend on something that they want to spend on and realize, oh, I get a bigger benefit from it, which is more cashback rewards.
Well, I think that this is a very interesting program, and I'm sure this is just the beginning of an entire series of programs that, that Unifund will be working on along with its affiliated companies to kind of roll out. I think it's very exciting. This is a great time for consumers to, find new ways to kind of achieve their financial goals. And I think that you guys are on the forefront of something really creative here. I'm very interested to see how this continues to evolve. And obviously we're going to have to do some follow-up interviews, over the next year or so, just kind of keeping our finger on the pulse of this, because I feel like this is one of those kind of really special things that starts to hit the industry. And I'm sure is going to snowball quickly once it's in the hands of consumers. I'm sure the hardest part is convincing them that I'm really not here to take anything from you. I am actually here to help. And what a fun challenge to have, but a challenge nonetheless, because I think especially in today's, day, consumers and all of us are very skeptical about offers that we receive, and we all get a ton of junk mail and spam emails and everything else, robocalls, etc. And so trying to convince somebody that like, no, I actually am here to help you, and it's not actually going to cost you anything, has got to be a pretty unique challenge to
Yeah,
face.
there's no gimmick, there's no hassles, and it's free. And again, it's I joke with people I work with at Pace. I keep on telling them I have to convince people that I'm giving you money. I'm trying to give you money. There's nothing more than that. There's $5 right here on the table. Do you want it? Then go. It's really just that simple. It's like I said, it's putting everything on his head. Debt collector is not asking for money. You're giving a credit card and we're not charging you anything on that credit card. It's just, and it's free. It's like, again, you're gonna get that cynical, dubious, okay, where's
It's a
the
unique
catch?
set of challenges, we'll call
Right.
it,
And
right?
because nothing, it's truly wholesome. It's truly 100% there to aid the consumer. And once you get them to understand that, then my belief is then you're going to see tremendous amount of integration, and you're going to see a lot of signups, and you're going to see ways that you can engage consumers who weren't able to engage with you before. And that's what excites me. And again, whether it be Pace, whether it be Vamos, or other things that we're working on in other categories, we're making a mall of offers. It's not one one trick fits
One particular offer, yeah.
yeah, not it really does not one offer fits everybody. Everyone has their own different needs and wants and desires. As a marketer and being consumer centric, it's finding what's going to get you to engage. And if it's Pace, great. If it's you can't transact in the digital world because you don't have a credit card, great. Then we can hit you with
Solve
Vamos.
that problem.
Right. If you have an issue in regards to, a home or credit or whatnot, we can help you in that capacity. It's giving you a mall of offers that hit the consumer, that helps them engage their debt and gets them in a position of financial wellness. So I'm excited about it because I think we have these great channels of communication now. Now the question is, what are you communicating? And now I think we really have something that we can communicate that is truly positive, and it's going to engage consumers in a different capacity. So it's a paradigm shift.
So for those of you that are watching or listening, Pace is PAYCE.com. I highly suggest that you go and check it out and just see, kind of what kind of offers are being put together here for the consumers. When we post this video on both LinkedIn and YouTube, I will tag both Ari and myself below, as well as our companies, so that you can feel free to reach out and ask some direct questions. I'm sure that there's a whole lot that we can't talk about from a public perspective at this point. And so I want to give people that opportunity to reach out to Ari directly. We'll also be answering any questions that you drop in the comments below, again, both on LinkedIn and YouTube. For those of you that are watching and would like to see Ari and I talk about more things or go in more depth, leave those comments below. If you have any additional topics that you'd like to see us cover or guests you'd like to see me interview, you can leave those comments below as well. But Ari, I really appreciate you taking the time to participate today. I think what you guys are doing over there is really creative. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to see how these things shake out. So, we'll have to do some follow-up interviews in the future just to keep the industry informed on some of the really creative things that you guys are doing over there regarding the alternative payment programs.
Well, I thank you for having me on this conversation or this roundtable. It is different, and I think a lot of people are going to scratch their head and go, even people in our own industry, and go, okay, where's the catch, right?
Where's the catch?
Right there, what's going on? How come it hasn't been done before? And I think that's what David Rosenberg has done and Unifund has done is, propped up these entities, and the first ones we're working with, and they are there for this purpose now. And as we now go out and bring this to our consumers, this is new. This is something it's actionable right now for us to address to our consumers. And it's going to be interesting to see where the offers work with which consumer. What is the communication that works best for them? What is the best channel of communication? And we're going to start getting more and more of this information, and it's going to be exciting to see how this now alternative way of paying down debt becomes more of a mainstay in our industry.
I agree wholeheartedly. I look forward to our continued discussions on the topic, Ari, and I'm sure I'll see you at the RMAI annual event in February, if not sooner.
Yes.
So I look forward to that as well. But until then, I will talk to you soon, Ari.
Thank you,
Thanks so
Adam.
much.
Thanks, everybody.